Hi, and welcome to the first of our ERM podcasts. My name is Colin Smith, and I'm the Technical Director here at Nolan Business Solutions.
My name is Andrew Butler, and I'm a consultant for ERM at Nolan Business Solutions.
So Andrew's been, for the past year, going around to colleges of both Oxford and Cambridge, installing or upgrading our ERM, Education Relationship Management System. So with these podcasts, we're aiming at going through what is ERM, what are its benefits, and drilling down into how it works, how you as a user can interact with the system to get the best out of it. So today is the first of our podcasts, and today we're going to talk about what is ERM and what are the benefits to you of using it. So we've just switched over to Dynamics 365 and our ERM system. So Andrew, do you want to just talk us through what is ERM?
Sure. So ERM is basically educational relationship management, and it sits on top of Dynamics CRM. And it's a tool which is basically written for colleges. Obviously, we have a lot in Oxford and Cambridge. And effectively, ERM is a database which can store all of their members. So it just basically gives everyone a nice kind of interaction of basically a nice database to see all of this information in one place.
So I see we've got the dashboard here as our home page. So the dashboard's got various metrics about number of students, is that, and what they're studying, what year they're in.
Yep.
Now I see we've also got membership by type, so we can see the active membership there and the types of members. So in the students by type, I can see we've got postgraduates and undergraduates and graduates. So are these all members within the ERM system?
Yep. So so this here is the ERM home dashboard. Just first off on the dashboard, this here is kind of like out of the box a dashboard which comes with the ERM install. You can actually design your own dashboards, but specifically on this dashboard, you're right, so we can see kind of the students by year of study and the memberships and the types. You can set different kind of types as you've rightly said. You can actually also create your own different types. So it may be that kind of by saying a graduate isn't actually enough. You may want to say a graduate and kind of be a bit more specific about that type of graduate. So you can also do that as well. So you can tailor the system to suit your needs.
Okay. So what do we hold under the members area of the system? I see at the top there we've got members and dashboards.
Yeah. So members is basically a breakdown of the different kind of record types you can have. So you can see here under the members we've got students, academics and admin staff. So you can have an active student. So once we can click on this view here, for instance, this will then show you all of your active students that you currently have. And we can go back into here and we can see all of our academics, and we can also see all of our admin staff. So members is basically a breakdown of students, admin, and all of your kind of different types of staff within the establishment. You can have them all on ERM.
Okay. So you're not restricted just to those groupings. We can have different types of members of staff.
Correct. Yeah.
So we've already looked at the dashboard and the analysis, but I see there's also reporting and stuff there, which is great.
Yep, you can create your own reports as well. This is where it uses the core CRM functionality, but there is basically a wizard where you can kind of do step by step and create the report kind of tailored to your needs. And you can do that off a view as well, which is kind of basically a group of data that you can kind of create based on specific criteria, but we'll be going through how the advanced vines and views works later on in another podcast.
Okay, so activities, it's nice for as an admin person to be able to record activities against individual students.
Yeah.
So or I guess groups of students. So if there's things that we need to remember to do or activities based on them, we've got that information in there. See, there's also an area in there where I can record research centres and programs related to my students and my graduates.
Yep. And again, you can then assign the different research contracts to a student. So obviously the whole kind of end goal is for student A, you can see kind of all of the different entities linked into their students, so research being one of them, and activities, the other one that you mentioned as well.
Okay. And dining rights, which is important in the student world as to what rights they've got in the dining room.
Exactly. So with the dining rights, exactly that. You can set a dining right per student. This can also be linked into perhaps if you've got another system which kind of you use kind of the dining information for. You can have that linked into ERM based on kind of the rights and the details, which is all linked to the student record.
Yeah, I've noticed that the colleges, quite a lot of them have separate catering systems related that can be linked into ERM.
Yeah. Exactly, and it can also use, for instance, the dietary requirements as well. So obviously, if you've got a particular student who is allergic to nuts, you can either have that flagged on the kind of the system, which gets fed from ERM. So you can, again, it's just all about having as much information as you possibly can against that student, and ERM. That's exactly one of the reasons it's there for.
Okay, so. I suppose one of the important things from an administrative point of view is the fees. So I see the fees on the menu bar there.
Yep.
So talk us through the fees area.
So similar with the kind of the different entities we've already discussed, you can set up the fees, and basically from the courses, which you can have a cost attributed to the course that the student is going to partake. You can basically have the system generate fees for you. And you can see here we've got the references, you have the fee header and then the fee details and any finance fee codes as well. Basically, once the fee record has been created against a student, again, if you've got a finance system and you want integration from ERM to that finance system, you can basically have the fees fed from ERM into that finance system through kind of a back-end integration.
Okay. I know quite a lot of students have a student loan company or sponsors that actually pay part or all of their fees. Can you manage that within here?
Yep. So you have the kind of the sponsors button here, so you can set up a sponsor and link it to a student record and have kind of the any percentage that the sponsor is going to be kind of taking off that fee, maybe 50% to the sponsor, 50% to the actual student itself. And have all of that kind of broken down as well.
Great. You mentioned that you can integrate this into your finance system. I think most of the colleges in Oxford and Cambridge have Microsoft Dynamics GP.
Yep.
So it's Microsoft Dynamics GP in this case that's doing the actual billing, because that's the finance system.
Yep.
And ERM is actually doing the holding of the fees and the courses.
Yep.
But the actual billing comes out of the finance system. Okay. So the next button along this is accommodation. So what do we know about the students' accommodation here?
Okay, so with the accommodation, you have here the buildings, the zones, the different rooms and the different types, and also the actual kind of specific room types of what is in each room, for instance, the electricity type and heating type. All of these are basically kind of set up in order to assign a student to a room. But before you can do that, you obviously have this kind of initial setup of the buildings and the types and the zones. And similar to why ERM exists in the first place, this will basically give you the visualization of what students are in what rooms, broken down by kind of the dates of their check-in and when they're expected to check out. So one of the kind of, the main beneficiaries of having that is if a student is vacating the room, say on January the 1st, but they're not going back into that room until the 1st of March, that then gives a visualization that that room is technically available for 2 months, and it may be that they can rent that out So again, having that kind of system information on the system gives you that kind of view.
Great. Yeah, I see at the top there you've got the room allocations. So that's where you allocate the students to the individual rooms. And you've also got rents in there. So those rents can come through as charges against the student record.
Correct.
Right. So the development area, what's happening? What are we able to? What functionality is available within the development area?
So one of the key things under the development area is this button here called Applicants. So this is basically geared towards you creating an applicant record on the ERM system. So once a student has applied for the college, you can create them as a student record and fill in some of the basic information you would have acquired from the Central University database. Once they have kind of passed, so they're no longer an applicant, they're actually going to be a student, you can actually run a workflow to convert that record over to a student. So you're not kind of doubling up on work. You don't have to then create a student. You can just change that from an applicant to a student.
Okay, so that's handy. You can collect applicants throughout the year.
Exactly.
And then when you're ready for your intake, just copy them across into the student records.
Exactly. Yeah, sorry, the other bit here, you can see we have alumni as well. So once a student has actually kind of finished their course, they can kind of be converted to alumni. So again, you have that visualization, you know, if they do kind of come back and perhaps kind of have some kind of further role, you already have that record in place. So you can kind of use that assigning to, you know, perhaps an external contact or a tutor against the record.
I see what's really handy there is we've got the standard Microsoft CRM areas there of opportunities and campaigns. So if we want to do a campaign to, say, all the alumni to come to an event at the college, we could set up the alumni on a specific mailing list.
Yep, yeah, exactly that. So yeah, with the CRM functionality, you can kind of group all the alumni together via an advanced find and kind of create them as a marketing list. You can then use the mailing list to create either a task or an email or kind of something similar based on that advanced find. But as soon as that student record is kind of, or the member record is on the system, you can kind of use any of these kind of activities.
Run any campaigns and mailing lists that we need to.
Yeah.
That's great. So finally, what's under the service tab there?
Okay, so the main kind of button we got there is the cases button. So this can be used for instance, logging something which is being damaged in a student room. So for instance, if the sink is not working or the water is not working, the student can report that to the lodge or the maintenance team. That can then get created, a new case get created and assigned to that user. Then they can kind of have an active list of all of the outstanding cases that they need to kind of work through. And that can also be assigned against the student or the room which they're allocated to.
Great. Well, that's given me a really good overview of what ERM is and the benefits of using the system. And I'm looking forward now to the next webcast where we'll go into more details about those members and have a look at who they are and what details we store against them. Yeah, great. So thank you for that. And be sure to catch our second podcast on ERM.